My name is Emma. I like Disney, musicals and all things cozy. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about the highly anticipated Mean Girls movie musical. And I've been excited for this movie to come out for ages now. And as soon as I saw that Renee Rapp was cast as Regina George, I just felt my little musical theatre heart sing. I think she has the best rendition of Worldburn, for example. But I was also excited to see new talent like Auli'i Cavallo as Janice, or Jackwell Spivey as Damien, Angourie Rice as Cady Heron, Bebe Wood as Gretchen Wieners, and Avantika as Karen Shetty in this version. I have thoughts about this movie, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. I saw the movie now about a week ago. I wanted to have some time to sit with it and just process what I watched. I've obviously watched the original 2004 movie, and the Broadway musical I've also been lucky enough to see. This movie sits somewhere in the middle. It's like a love child between the movie and the musical. Where I had the issue with it is that it tried too hard to cater to the movie and not so much the musical at times. It had a lot of cameos, for example, Principal Duval, played by Tim Meadows, and Miss Norbury, played by Tina Fey. They reprised their role from the original movie, which was lovely to see. And also, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this is a huge spoiler, Lindsay Lohan also has a cameo, which I really enjoyed. I actually think that was a really clever way of having a cameo. It wasn't just shoved in there. When Cady has the mathlete competition, the judge for that competition is Lindsay Lohan, and she makes a joke, something like, "I don't know your life," or something like. It's inside enough that the fans get that. Obviously this is Lindsay Lohan from the original movie, but it didn't take away from that if you haven't seen it. Cameos aside, I think we're just going to break it up for the song. The first song in the movie, there is a new song co-written by Renee Rapp, I believe, called What Ifs. So this replaced It Roars in the Broadway musical. It did kind of the same job. It has the same theme. We see Cady in Africa, slowly transitioning into high school life at North Shore High, and it's played out like a dream sequence, and by the time she's actually in North Shore High, reality just hits her. A sweeter quality than It Roars does. It Roars to me is more like a I wanted song, classic musical theatre. I still prefer It Roars. I think it has more drive. What I liked about the Broadway version of Cady Heron is I feel like she had more gumption, to use an old school word there. She's bright-eyed, and I think it lends itself better to the score and the music written for that character. Cady in the movie is more muted and shy, and I understand that this movie wanted to play more off that side, but I just think the music falls a bit flat, unfortunately. In some places with Angourie Rice's voice, it doesn't sit in. I mean, obviously this is a new song written with her in mind, but for the rest of the songs, which I will talk about in a minute, I just felt like, unfortunately, she's an okay singer, but I mean, there's some lines in other songs that she was supposed to sing, like for example in Apex Predator, which is probably my favorite ensemble song in this whole film. Like the lines she was supposed to sing, it's a duet between Janice and Cady, because she can't decide whether to hang out with the Plastics or to stay friends with Janice. Especially lines with, "Although Janice is great, she does not have this power. People literally cower. Janice can't do that." Cady are supposed to sing those lines, and in the movie Damien sings them and Janice is stood right next to her, which makes zero sense to me, because Janice is stood right there. First of all, she can hear what he's saying, and it seems a bit weird to me that Janice would just accept that as a fact. She's like, yeah, that's true. It's not the character we see throughout the movie, or the musical for that matter. Janice hates Regina George with a passion, and she wouldn't like accept her as superior. She wouldn't. It's a bit weird. And I feel like they've given those lines to Jackwell Spivey because he's a stronger vocalist and he could sing those songs. And also it adds a new dynamic. Don't get me, Jackwell Spivey. I'm so happy that he got some lines in this movie because he's a phenomenal singer. but at the same time they've also cut songs that he was supposed to. Where do you belong, for example, which is the introductory number to the cafeteria, to the click system, how everything works. It's been completely scrapped. And when you can see the direction that this movie has taken, I understand what they're trying to go for, a more modernized version. Literally the slogan of this movie is "Not Your Mother's Mean Girls," and I can say that they're trying definitely to target, you know, Gen Z with all the references to TikTok and things like that. But so Where Do You Belong is obviously a very, very Broadway number. It's very musical theatre. You can imagine tap shoes and your top hat flying off. It's that kind of vibe. And that's not the direction the movie's going in at all. It's very poppy and it's trying to be cool, I think, a little bit, which in some places fails it slightly. But moreover, I think Where Do You Belong is such a campy number, and it's just, I feel like, again, Hollywood is scared of having something inherently really theatrical, which is a shame, because I feel like a good show, even though it's not going for the vibe they want, it would have been cool to see. Maybe they could have done a new arrangement of Where Do You Belong, for all I know. But I think Jack Will Spivey would have killed that song. It would have been so funny or great to see his take on that character, because he's done some really cool things with Damien that I think are hilarious. For example, when they're in the cafeteria and he just throws the fan. Genius. I love it. Like, it's such a small thing, but I felt like that was more representative to more like queer people nowadays, and being more. And I love that he's out and proud, and Janice is out and proud. She has a date to the school prom. It's amazing seeing her out as a lesbian in this film. And just better queer representation all over. But yeah, I just think Cady in this movie isn't a strong vocalist. Now Meet the Plastics is one of the first songs in the musical, right? And in the Broadway version, this is a 4 or 5 minute long number where you introduce all of your characters. And what I actually feel, since looking back on this movie a lot, I just felt like we didn't get to, it's called Meet the Plastics, but we didn't meet the plastics. I felt like the original song in the Broadway musical is 4 or 5 minutes, and it introduces all the characters. It introduced Regina, Gretchen, Karen, even Damien and Janice, all these new people in Cady's life. And they are fleshed out, because when you can't flesh characters out with dialogue, you use songs. And in a musical, you have to use some kind of way of introducing your characters to the audience, especially if it's for a younger audience. Even though, yes, we know these characters from the movie, but we can't solely just rely on that. So essentially, they've cut half the song down, and it's all about Regina George. And the theme of the movie is having these blackouts and spotlight on Regina, and Renee Rapp is, oh my god, I love her so much as Regina George. There's nothing wrong with her portrayal of Regina, but where are the verses about, like, one of my favourite lines, like, I love Karen's verse in this song, in the Broadway version. My name is Karen, my hair is shiny. It's really, really catchy. Or Gretchen being like, yes, Regina, yes, Regina, every waking hour, da 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 da. Because Gretchen's characters are like really frantic and stressed, and it's saying a lot of things in a few minutes. And if they just somehow incorporated those two girls' verses, it would actually be Meet the Plastics and not just Meet Regina, right? And no, Janice and Damien, maybe they didn't need to have a verse in it if they needed to cut that down, but it should at least focused on those 3 girls and not just Regina, because Regina is a very established character, I think, in the original movie and the Broadway musical, and she certainly has a heavy presence here, but I just didn't think they fleshed out Karen and Gretchen enough. Yeah, I understand why they cut it in some ways, because they want to make the movie short and snappy, but I feel like they should have spent a couple of more minutes fleshing out this song. It would have saved them a lot of work later on. Avantika is absolutely beautiful girl. She's very talented. Unfortunately, I didn't really like her portrayal as Karen. in this movie. I thought it was very one note, and she made me laugh like once throughout the whole film. And Karen is a hilarious character. She's supposed to be super duper funny, and my expectations were a little bit up to here, I mustn't lie, because obviously both Amanda Seyfried and also Kate Rockwell in the Broadway version just made me laugh so much. And I think it is because the way they act Karen is very, I'm not trying to be funny, it just becomes funny because she's just ditzy and stuff. But Avantika was trying too hard to imitate other Karens, I felt like, and I wanted her to make something new of the character, you know? I wanted her to put her own spin on it, and I just never got there. And for Sexy was so, for me, I've seen people really like it, and this is just a matter of opinion. This is not me hating on Avantika or anything. I think she's great, and I, want to see her in other things. For me, it just missed the mark for me completely. Sexy is supposed to be really funny and really, like, you have to nail the comedic timing of it, and I felt like it's not Avantika's fault, to be honest. It's the direction the movie's going in with all this TikTok heavy social media content, and I just felt like they set it up to be a TikTok dance, which I could see that working. That's a cute idea. But the execution of it then meant that it was all about looking glamorous and sexy. And I feel like that song is not just about that, even though it is. It's also about, Karen being funny. And I think a lot of her scenes it bored me. Like when she tried to deliberately put a straw up her nose, it was really forced. And I was like, the song that I wasn't sure about was Stupid with Love. Like, I like the arrangement a little bit. It's very cute with a do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. Because it is about having a crush, and naivete and falling in love for the first time. And Katie is a sweet character in this movie. She's very shy, and I do like some of Agori Rice's performance in it. I think it's sweet, but then when you do compare it to the Broadway version, especially the line, "I'm filled with calculus," and in the movie she's going, "I am filled with calculus." It's supposed to be a funny line, putting emphasis on it, and I felt like the song was just very chill and vibey, and it's like, it could have worked, but there's certain parts that he could have played with the dynamics a bit more. They could have changed the arrangement, made it a bit more exciting, even if it started like do 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 like it does in the movie, and then it went gradually into more of a like kind of place. And I again just feel like it's probably her vocals that maybe weren't strong enough to support it. I don't know why they made the decisions they made. I don't hate it. I've seen other people who absolutely hate it. I think it works for her voice and the arrangement they've done, but they could have played a lot more around with the dynamics of the song, and I think it could have been a lot better. But she's a sweet girl, and no hate at all. It's just the arrangement, for me, I can see what they were going for. It didn't quite hit the mark, but it's almost there with just with some little bit of tweaking, and I think it could have worked. My underdog performance that I feel like I've seen no one talk about, it's What's Wrong With Me from Gretchen. Now this is actually a adaptation that I really thought really worked. So What's Wrong With Me in the Broadway musical is a lot longer, right? And it's obviously about Gretchen showing Katie that she's really, really just a really timid and insecure teenage girl, and she just let people boss her around because she's too scared to do anything else. Now in the movie, what I did really like, they were in Regina's closet, and Gretchen found this little music box, and she looked at it and she said that she'd given away a really precious family heirloom to Regina. And just looking at this music box, and it felt very theatrical to me. It's like one of the only movies I was like, this is musical theatre now. She was singing into this music box, and it absolutely shattered my heart. I think that Bebe Wood gave such a heartfelt and vulnerable performance, and it was without all the smoke and mirrors. It was just authentic and real in that moment, and I think she deserves some flowers for that performance. I must say, I thought it was beautiful, And I didn't mind that the song was shortened down a little bit. It was effective, and it showed the emotion of the song and the character. So I did really like that. And obviously, I can't not say that World Burn isn't a standout performance. It's my favourite song in the whole movie. I love Renee Rapp's version of that song, I will always. The arrangement was a little bit... When I first heard it, before I saw the movie, I was missing the Broadway arrangement because it has the horns and it just feels a lot fuller. And we don't get the same climax in this arrangement, but I can't fault Renee Rapp's vocals. She sells me as Regina George. I'm 100% there. After seeing the movie, the less arrangement made more sense to me. And they played around a lot with dynamics. Still prefer the Broadway version, which I feel like I'm going to say a lot in this video. So I felt like it was adapting well to what was going on in the screen, in the story. Auli'i Kawelo was cast as Janice. I am absolutely obsessed with her portrayal. It was so funny and raw, and I'm so glad to see her do actual, face-to-face acting roles. I think this movie's gonna bring on a lot of cool projects for her afterwards. I thought her version of I'd Rather Be Me was spectacular. I could see that they've taken a lot of inspiration from Barrett Wilbert-Weed's music video of the song. Her running in the corridor and stuff and being in the school. She wasn't trying to imitate Barrett, which I appreciated. I think a lot of people probably wanted that. She managed to make Janice her own. She did a phenomenal job with her. The only thing I didn't really like about I'd Rather Be Me wasn't her fault. It was more that she didn't dive into the audience. She didn't get people saying Janice, Janice, Janice. It was still there in the music, but there was no one there to say it. I didn't mind too much. It's like things that didn't make sense. I was willing to overlook it because the vocals were so good, and I think she deserves, again, some flowers for this performance. I think she did a brilliant job. I also did really like Renee Rapp singing Someone Gets Hurt. And often when I watch a musical theatre movie, yes, it's cool that we do things that we can't do on the stage, but I also really do like when they just go simple with it. You don't need necessarily a confetti cannon and glitter falling from the ceiling. I just think simplicity often is the best. They cut out a lot of songs in this movie. Some of them I didn't miss, like Whose House Is This with Kevin and Katie in the ensemble. Again, Do This Thing, didn't mind that being gone. Stop, I know a lot of people wanted Stop. It's not my favourite song. So again, didn't mind it being gone, to be honest, sorry. So More Is Better is a song that I didn't have a huge relationship with, but I've seen other people criticize it being gone, and I can see why, because it did deepen the relationship with Katie and Erin, and I do feel like that would have been a sweet moment in the movie. I do know that the actor who played Erin in this movie didn't want to sing, but then they should have just maybe cast someone else. I don't know. So I See Stars, which is probably, I feel like I've said that about every song. This is my favourite song. It's one of my all-time favourite songs, I See Stars. I think it's beautiful and sweet. When Katie gives out the tiara when she wins Homecoming Queen, and she gives a little piece to every single girl in the audience. That moment wasn't as fleshed out as it would normally be. I didn't really know why she was giving it out to those girls. She didn't specify like she did in the original movie. And I also think it was a bit weird how I think it was Glen Coco, was it? That just started taking over the song. Sure, it kind of worked, but then I felt like after the prom, we didn't get a closure moment for anyone. It just kind of ended after the prom. We didn't really see where the characters were ending up, and it just left us hanging a little bit as to where the characters ended up. We didn't see Regina get resolved. We just saw her being on these kind of painkillers, which was kind of sad. I think overall this movie, for me, looking back on it, I think it was okay. I am left feeling let down though for some reason. I felt like the ensemble had such potential, but for me, a lot of the songs, the arrangements were a bit messy, and they fail to convey the message of the story sometimes, and I think it was too heavily leaning on that original Mean Girls audience, but then also changing the material. I think it was trying too hard to be like, well, you already know these characters, we're not going to bother explaining them, which I think let it down a little bit, to be honest with you, which is such a shame because everyone in this film was fabulous. I just didn't think, the musical arrangements didn't sit right with me at times, which let it down, and the ensemble didn't feel like an ensemble at times. It was more like, this is about Regina, this is about this person now, and I missed more of a unity within the cast, I suppose. So I left being a bit meh about the new Mean Girls movie. It's okay. I still will blast the Broadway musical over this movie any day, to be honest. Just being honest, I'd recommend listening to that. If you liked some of the songs from the movie, but you want some better versions of them, I'd recommend that. But then again, if you're more inclined to more poppy songs, maybe you like this more, who knows? Please let me know in the comments what you thought about the new Mean Girls movie. I don't know what to rate it, to be honest. It feels unfair to compare because it's a different vibe, and I think everyone involved did a good attempt at making it the best it could be. I've seen some people absolutely slam it and hate every second of it. That wasn't me. I enjoyed it. I left the theatre smiling. So no, I didn't absolutely hate it, but I had a friend who saw me after I saw it, and she said, "Oh, how was Mean Girls?" And she went, "Oh, was it that bad?" And it was like, no, it wasn't. It was just more, it had good stuff in it, but certain things pulled it down. I think if I want to be harsh, maybe it is a 5 out of 10, a generous 5.5 maybe out of 10. It's enjoyable, the songs are cute, don't necessarily think it was amazing. I think Renee Rapp, amazing. Auli Cavallo, amazing. Jacqueline Spivey, amazing. See, that's the thing, it was just the direction of the whole thing that felt a little bit lost sometimes, unfortunately. Well, let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Let me know if you liked Mean Girls or not. Have you seen it yet? Will you be seeing it after this video? What would you rate it? And if you've seen either the movie or the musical, please let me know. Anything that you thought I'd missed or something you disagree with, I would love to know in the comments. I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Rock, rock, rocking around the pole till the northern lights are bright. I do love that they used that instead of Jingle Bell Rock, because they did that on Broadway.